Hello and welcome to my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League, which came out in 2021. As you can see, I am a massive DC fanboy. This movie, Justice League, is the culmination of the entire DCEU, DC Extended Universe, which was helmed by the visionary director Zack Snyder, starting from the original movie Man of Steel, then followed by Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, which featured Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and now we have this film, which had a very interesting development. Now, is this movie better than the original? The Snyder Cut, is it better? Yes, it is better. It is so much better. In fact, this movie is great. It is very great. So in this movie, we get to see Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne / Batman cope with the events following Batman vs. Superman, in which there is a tragic event that changes him forever and causes him to want to create a team of superheroes. Ben Affleck is great as Batman, as he was in Batman vs. Superman. He continues to be good in this movie. He gets more time due to the absence of Superman for much of the movie. Also a standout is Ray Fisher's Cyborg. He has so much more to do in this version of the movie. He's really the heart and soul of the movie. His story is actually very emotional and very well done. But my favorite has to be Ezra Miller's Barry Allen, aka The Flash. I'm a huge fan of Ezra Miller in all of his projects that he has chosen and all of the roles he has done. And he is great as The Flash, and he's going to be great in the upcoming Flash movie as well. He brings some levity and comedic timing to the role, which is very enjoyable. He has a lot of comedic banter with Aquaman, as well as with Cyborg. A fun fact about this movie is that in the 2022 Oscars, it actually won Best Moment, The Flash going back in time and using the Speed Force. Now, the original Justice League movie that came out in 2017 was less than 2 hours long. This new Snyder Cut is 4 hours long, which is very, very long, but it does not feel like it. The pacing in this movie is great. In this movie, Zack Snyder is able to flesh out the characters' backstories even more, give the characters time to breathe, and go into more details about their backstories. This movie features Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, and the return of Superman after his death in Batman vs. Superman. We have a supporting cast of Jeremy Irons as Alfred, which is good as always, reprising his role from Batman vs. Superman. We also have J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon, the detective who is friends with Batman. Of course, we have Amy Adams as Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. So this movie is Zack Snyder's true vision of what he wanted to make with this film. Now I'm going to go into an in-depth review of the plot, so there are spoilers here. Spoiler warning. So the movie begins and opens with the death of Superman, and Superman is screaming, and it sends shockwaves throughout the entire Earth, which is pretty crazy. So Doomsday kills Superman. Then, after this, we see the mother boxes awaken. We see the box of men awaken. We see the box in the Atlantean world awaken. We see the box in Themyscira awaken. And then we get a very mysterious shot of a man in the mountains, which we then learn is Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, he's come to this village where Aquaman is to recruit him. Then there's some slow motion music video type stuff where Jason Momoa takes off his shirt in slow motion and jumps into the ocean. And it seems like he's not interested in joining Batman's team. He doesn't really care at all. Batman goes back to his Batcave and lets Alfred, Jeremy Irons, know that Aquaman is not interested in joining his team. Then we cut to this really cool shot of Wonder Woman on a statue, and she has this new theme song. Now, all the music in this movie is done by Junkie XL. I think he did a pretty good job. It's very different than the original cut. It's worth noting that this version of the movie is rated R. There's a lot more profanity, a lot more violence. It's very hardcore. We have a scene where these terrorists show up to a museum and are threatening to blow it up with a bomb and kill all these innocent children. And Wonder Woman shows up and she beats the hell out of these guys. She's moving super fast like Superman could, taking out all these guys really brutally, and the action is amazing. She throws the bomb up in the air and it explodes, and she uses this move on them, and it freaking explodes the entire building. But of course the children are okay, which is good. And then she goes up to one of the girls and she's like, "You can be whatever you want to be. It's cool." So yeah, it's a pretty good moment there. Then we cut to Themyscira, the land of the Amazonians, and the mother box is awakening, and one of the boom tubes, the teleportation. Here we get the introduction of Steppenwolf, the main villain of the movie, and he teleports right to the mother box, and then all the parademons come out. This is our first look at the parademons. And he says something like, "And now the parademons feed off of people's fear." And one of the main Amazonians says, "Amazonians, show them your fear." And then they all say, "We have no fear," which is really cool. And then, so they get into this big fight where they're shooting arrows at Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf is fighting back against some of the Amazonians, and they want to get this mother box away from him as fast as possible and as efficiently as they can. So they take the mother box and they're running, and these Amazonians are ripped. They are jacked. They are like people out of 300. They hit the door and cause it to close, and the main Amazonian gets out just in time, gets the box away from Steppenwolf, and then the entire freaking building falls off of a cliff. And then this was a part that actually scared the hell out of me, because it's like a jump scare. You think, oh, Steppenwolf just fell into the ocean, and then there's a beat, and then all of a sudden Steppenwolf flies out of the ocean, and all these parademons and stuff are coming out of the ocean, and it literally scared the heck out of me. I was not expecting it, because this was very much different than the original cut. Then Steppenwolf comes, and then he is like killing horses, killing Amazonians. It's very brutal and bloody. And the Amazonians are on horses, and they're riding, and they're throwing the box to each other, and it's super cool and really intense. Like, the tension in this scene is amazing. And so they're trying to get the box away from Steppenwolf, and they're using ropes, they're throwing the box, and unfortunately one of the main Amazonians gets like injured and is about to die, and then Steppenwolf gets shot by a bunch of arrows, and he flexes and they break. Oh, by the way, Steppenwolf's design is way cooler in this movie. He's got like this really cool armor that is all around him that's like alive. It's really cool. And so he grabs the mother box, and then he teleports out of there. So once Steppenwolf gets the mother box, the Amazonians of Themyscira are like, "We need to send the world of men a message that something bad is coming." So they shoot this arrow, this flaming arrow, and it goes like so freaking far. It goes like miles apparently, and it lands in like Athens or somewhere wherever Wonder Woman is. So Wonder Woman sees this arrow, then she decides to become Tomb Raider and goes deep underground in the ruins, wearing high heels, which is pretty cool, I guess. And then she learns about Steppenwolf, the Mother Boxes, and Darkseid. Silas Stone gets kidnapped by a parademon. We get some drama between Aquaman, Mera, and Willem Dafoe. So the MacGuffins of one of the MacGuffins of this movie are the Mother Boxes, and basically Steppenwolf wants to get the Mother Boxes so he can create the Unity to take over the world or destroy the world. And then we get a scene that is we get a flashback scene that is on the level of Avengers Endgame. It's an Avengers Endgame style battle where you have the Amazonians, the men, the Atlanteans, the old gods, the Green Lanterns, everyone in the whole DC universe are fighting against Darkseid. Darkseid is invading the Earth, and he's trying to create this unity with the Mother Boxes. And you see freaking Ares, you see Zeus using his freaking lightning powers, which is really freaking cool. And Darkseid freaking cuts off one of the Green Lantern's arms, and he tries to get the ring, and the ring just flies away. And then at one point, freaking Ares from Wonder Woman freaking uses an axe against him, and then Zeus freaking does a freaking lightning bolt, and it hits Darkseid, and Darkseid is like out for the count. He's like on the ropes, and then he's like, "We need to get the hell out of here." So they all grab him. I think Desaad is with them, and then they go back, and then this becomes the one world that Darkseid was unable to conquer. So the army of all the DC characters are victorious, and they win, and they decide to hide these Mother Boxes so that if anyone tries to do anything, try something, and tries to come back and get them, they will not be able to do it. So they place these MacGuffin items in different areas of the world so that it's harder for someone to get them all together. Okay, and now we get a really cool scene with Barry Allen, Ezra Miller as the Flash. He's going in for a job interview at a dog place, like a veterinarian or something like that. And there's this really stupid driver who drops his burger and freaking is about to crash into Iris West, who is the Flash's main love interest. And he sees this, and then there's a freaking really weird scene where one of the sesame seeds on the burger just flies at the screen in slow motion. It's pretty freaking hilarious. And then there's a lot of slow-mo in this scene. And the Flash, he sees what's about to happen. He moves so fast, his shoes disintegrate. He pivots and like it's some insane basketball move or something. But he like moves out of his shoes. He's running. He phases through the glass, breaks the glass. Then he goes and he's moving so fast that everything seems slow to him. And he saves Iris West. And then right after he saves her, he also grabs a hot dog. Because the truck hit a hot dog stand apparently. And the car that she was in freaking goes flying and explodes. And then they like look into each other's eyes and they're like sharing a moment or whatever. And he goes back and gives one of the dogs a hot dog. Okay, now we move on to Cyborg Ray Fisher, aka Victor Stone. Okay, so Victor Stone is a genius, very smart guy. He's also the MVP, VIP, main star of the football team. And he's also incredibly smart. He's He's giving all his, he hacked into the system, gave all his friends that are poor, like, good grades and stuff. But he scores a really insane touchdown, and then he notices that his father is not there, which makes him depressed. And because his father works at Star Labs, and he's never there because he's always busy with his work. And so Cyborg and his mom are in the car, and they get in a car accident. And I think she like freaking dies or something, and he's like really messed up. And so Silas Stone decides to use one of the mother boxes. One of the mother boxes is at Star Labs. It awakens, and it like activates Cyborg, and he becomes like a machine. He's a cyborg. And so basically, Cyborg is really freaking powerful. He can apparently launch all of the nuclear missiles in the world just by thinking about it. He can influence the stock markets. He can have an infinite amount of money whenever he wants. He goes up to this poor woman who's struggling and trying to just like work jobs just to get some money. And she has like children to feed and stuff. And he gives her a bunch of money, and she's like super happy. So he's a true hero. So we get the same scene from the original cut where Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, the Flash, meets Bruce Wayne. He's like, well, what's your superpower? He's like, I'm rich. And then we get a slightly extended scene where Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck Batman, he has the coolest Mercedes I've ever seen. I looked at the behind the scenes. Apparently, they made this car. It's not an actual car. It's like a concept car. They made it just for this movie for Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck Batman. And it's a really dope freaking car. So Wonder Woman meets with Cyborg and convinces him to join the team. And then at some point at Star Labs, we're introduced to Ryan Choi, who later becomes involved with nanotechnology and becomes the Atom, apparently. And then, so Steppenwolf has the mother box from Themyscira. Then he goes down to Atlantis to steal the mother box in the ocean. And freaking Aquaman, well, he's about to kill Mera, and then Aquaman shows up and beats the heck out of Steppenwolf. He's fighting back really good. And then at one point, Mera goes up to Steppenwolf and starts sucking the water out of his body, and then starts sucking the blood out of his head, which was really cool. But unfortunately, they are overpowered by Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf gets the second mother box from the ocean, from the Atlanteans. Then we get the first big action scene battle between Steppenwolf and the Justice League, which is pretty different in this one. In this version, Cyborg, as soon as he sees that his dad's been captured, he's like, hell no. He freaking shoots at Steppenwolf, goes in and starts fighting him, and then they're all fighting Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf is pretty freaking powerful at this point. And there's like stuff exploding, and there's rubble falling. It's about to kill all these innocent like people that Steppenwolf kidnapped from Star Labs to find out where the mother box is. And right before they die, the Flash, like, again, he's so fast, he sees what's about to happen. He freaking, and this time it's not slow, so you see it in real time, and you just see him freaking like flying all over the place, and it's really freaking cool. It looks like lightning is flashing, because every time he moves, I guess it creates lightning or something, or electricity, and it's a really great scene. Now this, once he gets, so the Justice League failed to defeat Steppenwolf, he uses the teleportation again, and then this is where we're introduced to another MacGuffin of the movie, which becomes very important later in the supposed story that takes place far in the future. And okay, so Steppenwolf keeps going to Desaad because he wants to redeem himself for Darkseid, because he's a disappointment to Darkseid, and Darkseid's like, you owe me 50,000 more worlds, and he's like, oh man. So he's trying to get good with Darkseid, and at one point, Steppenwolf finds out about the anti-life equation, which is here on Earth. And once he realizes this, he's like, this is what Darkseid really wants. Darkseid will forget all about my past grievances and all the 50,000 worlds stuff if I show him and give him the anti-life equation, which in the comics is what Darkseid is all about. And so they get back after the battle to the Bat Cave, and there's this really cool dialogue scene between Alfred and Ben Affleck where Alfred is like, when you see a charging bull, don't wave the red cape at it unless you can take the charging bull down. And then Ben Affleck says, not this red cape. When the bull charges, this red cape charges back. Which is a great line. So they decide to resurrect Superman as a way to finally defeat Steppenwolf because Superman is insanely powerful. And he's on the same level as Steppenwolf. So they go into Star Labs and freaking Silas Stone is like, someone's invading Star Labs. Someone's breaking in. We need to evacuate everyone or call for security or something. Then he sees the Justice League walk in and immediately he knows what's up. And he's like, never mind, everything's fine. Just everyone leave and it's all good here. It's because he trusts his son to do what's right. And so they go. And okay, this is an amazing scene that comes up here. So they're about to use the Flash's power to jumpstart the mother box in order to revive Superman. And right before the Flash does this, Cyborg plugs into the ship and like connects with the mother box. And then all of a sudden we see this crazy freaking nightmare sequence where we see freaking Wonder Woman is dead. The Amazonians are crying. Aquaman gets killed by Darkseid by using a Omega beam and freaking stabbing him in the heart. Then we see freaking the Hall of Justice where the Justice League like stay is all in ruins. There's a dead Green Lantern and Superman is flying holding Batman's cowl. And then we see, it's very hard to see, it's an Easter egg, but you see a torn Joker card. This is very important for later. Oh, and you also, then you see Darkseid standing over Superman with his hand on his shoulder. Superman is holding a charred body that's been disintegrated and killed, which I'm assuming is Lois Lane, with their son. She was pregnant with their child. And then, so Cyborg sees this, he's like, no! And then the Flash is like, go? Because, like, they're about to do the thing. And so, Barry Allen, as remember, the Flash is like, go? So he goes, and he starts running super fast. And then he runs fast, so fast, that time starts going backwards. And then he touches the mother box, which creates a spark of electricity that ignites it and starts it, awakens it. And then Superman comes up. Oh, and I forgot to say that back at the Batcave with Alfred, Batman is creating this technology where he has these armor gauntlets that can, quote, capture and dissipate energy. And so when Superman comes, he fights the Justice League, of course, and then he sees Batman. He's like, oh, I know you. I remember you. And then he uses his laser beam on Batman, and Batman uses the freaking gauntlet. He also uses the gauntlet a lot of other times during the battle scenes when the parademons are shooting at him. And he freaking uses it without the armor gauntlets, he probably would have been fried at that moment. But he stops it, and then he freaking gets like, the Lois Lane steps in and stops it all, and then Superman goes back to normal once he sees Lois Lane. Okay, so now we're back at Star Labs, and Silas Stone uses this laser to superheat the mother box. And because of this, as a side effect of that, he gets evaporated, disintegrated, which is very sad. Cyborg's father just freaking dies, and he sacrifices himself in order to mark the box. And Steppenwolf, unfortunately, gets the third box, and he grabs it and then teleports out of there again. Okay, and then now Superman, once he calms down, goes back to his ship, and then he gets his black suit, which is really cool and dope. Then, during the final battle, Batman comes up with a plan to basically go in guns blazing, and Steppenwolf has this nuclear power plant where he's gonna do the unity with the mother boxes, and they invade this nuclear power plant, and there's this shot where you see all the members of the Justice League minus Superman, and they're going towards Steppenwolf, and they're all in this shot, and it's an amazing shot. You got Batman in the Batmobile, you got the other people are flying in the air, and it's just really cool. And the way the team works together in this movie is way better than the original. It's just, there's a lot more action and really cool set pieces. Okay, and so Steppenwolf is at the nuclear power plant. He has all three boxes, mother boxes. He's about to do the unity. He takes them all and he puts them together, and then boom! The world explodes. The Justice League loses. They lost. In fact, they all die. Which was really crazy. I didn't even understand in the moment what had happened, because I saw like the world explode, and I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? And then as soon as this happens, again, the Flash sees what happened, and he's like, oh man, I need to do something. So then he freaking starts running really fast. And this is when we realize the Flash is the hero of the movie. The Flash is the one that saves the world and the universe. He saves everyone, because they all die. Once the mother boxes come together, it literally shows their like bodies getting disintegrated, and it's very like graphic. Like the bones and like muscle and blood are like flying everywhere. Even Superman's getting disintegrated, which is like, Superman's pretty powerful, and so it's crazy. And I didn't really understand what was happening in the moment, and so the Flash is like, I gotta go faster than I've ever gone. I need to rewind time. So he freaking starts running, and we get an amazing, really cool scene where the Flash is running back in time, and like the Earth is like coming back, like the world is unexploding. It's like coming back together, and he saves everyone. He does it, and then right before Steppenwolf is gonna chop Cyborg's arm off, Superman just appears out of nowhere, and he says, and then the axe hits him in the shoulder. He says, I'm not impressed, and then he freezes the axe and shatters it. He just starts beating the hell out of Steppenwolf. He freaking uses his laser eyes, laser vision, and saws off part of Steppenwolf's head. And then freaking Steppenwolf is just standing there at one point, and then all of a sudden you see a spear go freaking through his chest, and Aquaman is holding him like a shish kebab, and Aquaman freaking stabbed him with his trident. And then you see they freaking throw him, and then Wonder Woman sees it, and she starts running, gets her sword, freaking chops off Steppenwolf's head, and then Desaad, Granny Goodness, and Darkseid have now appeared through a portal, and they're in their own universe. His head flies through the portal, lands right in front of Darkseid, and Darkseid freaking steps on his head. And then he's like, we're gonna have to do things the old way. So the anti-life equation is really important to Darkseid. So he's gonna apparently prepare his forces, his army, to go take back Earth to get this anti-life equation so he can rule everyone and like be the master of the universe basically. Okay, then we get a surprise cameo by Jesse Eisenberg, surprisingly, and he's like bald, he's on a yacht, and he's talking to none other than Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, and he says, I happen to have some information that you might really like to know. If you're looking into the Batman, you might want to know his name is Bruce Wayne, which is a completely different scene than the post-credit scene from the original Justice League. Then we get the second Nightmare Vision, and this one is insane. So we're in the desert. The whole Earth is like barren and has been like destroyed, and they're like coming out and they're like really like on edge and like being careful, and they're like, we gotta be careful. We cannot let him find us. He's gonna kill us all. And who it is it's Batman with his Nightmare outfit. You got the Flash with his future armor on. You got the Cyborg with a freaking machine, like a Gatling gun with multiple arms holding ammo. You have Mera, who's mad because Aquaman is dead. We later found out he was killed by Superman. And you have Joe Manganiello there as Deathstroke with fighting alongside Batman. And they're like, you know, they're saying, like, Mera's like, I'm so pissed off, he freaking killed Arthur, he needs to pay. And so Joe Manganiello goes up to Batman, he's like, are you sure it was a good idea to bring him along? And then all of a sudden we hear, heh, 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 heh. And of course, this is Jared Leto's Joker meeting Batman. And so they basically talk to each other, and Batman, Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, he says to Joker, Jared Leto, he says, when I was holding Harley Quinn before she died, she begged me to kill you, and make no mistake, I will effing kill you. And then they make a deal. Now this deal, the way this deal works, is the Joker, and by the way, the look of the Joker is completely different. He's got long green hair, he got some makeup on, and I think Jared Leto does a good job. But this deal he makes with Batman is that he will play along with him, and they will not fight each other. And then he gives him a Joker card. He says, once you tear this card in half, our deal is off. It's over. That was the same card from the previous Nightmare Vision sequence that Cyborg had, where the card was torn in half. So basically in the future we know what happens. And basically because Darkseid killed Lois Lane, Superman, I think actually Darkseid is using the anti-life equation on Superman. That's how he's able to control him. And then they're like, oh man, you hear that? He's coming. And then we see Superman come down with his red eyes, and then boom, Bruce Wayne wakes up. Ben Affleck, Batman, wakes up.